Imagine discovering an entire human species, not through a complete skeleton, not through an ancient skull, not even through a single tooth, but from a tiny fragment of bone, smaller than a credit card. At first, scientists thought it belonged to an ordinary human. Then they analyzed its DNA. What they found shocked the world. The bone belonged to a human species nobody knew existed, a species that lived alongside our ancestors, shared the same landscapes, and then vanished almost completely from history. No cities, no written records, almost no fossils, just a handful of clues buried deep inside a cave. So who were these mysterious humans? And how did an entire branch of humanity disappear without a trace? This is the story of the Denisovans, the human species that almost vanished from existence. Imagine discovering an entire human species, not through a complete. When most people think about human evolution, they imagine a simple story, one species gradually evolving into another, until modern humans appeared. But reality is far more complicated. For most of human history, we weren't alone. Earth was once home to multiple human species. Neanderthals lived across Europe and Western Asia. Homo floresiensis survived on remote Indonesian islands, and our own species, Homo sapiens, spread across Africa. For hundreds of thousands of years, different human groups existed at the same time. They hunted, adapted, migrated, and competed for survival. Some crossed frozen landscapes, others thrived in dense forests. Each species carried unique traits shaped by thousands of generations. But among all these ancient humans, one species remained completely unknown, not because they weren't important, but because they left almost nothing behind. The mystery began in 2008, deep inside the Altai Mountains of Siberia. Archaeologists were excavating a cave known as Denisova Cave. The cave had already produced evidence of ancient human occupation, stone tools, animal bones, fragments of the distant past. Then, researchers found something unusual, a tiny finger bone. It looked insignificant, just another fossil among thousands. Nobody expected it to change human history. The bone was sent for genetic analysis. Scientists hoped it might reveal whether the owner was a Neanderthal or an early modern human. Instead, the DNA revealed something completely unexpected. It matched neither. This individual belonged to an entirely different human lineage, a lineage that had remained hidden for tens of thousands of years. Suddenly, human evolution became far more complicated than anyone imagined. The problem was obvious. Scientists had discovered a new human species, but they had almost no fossils, no complete skeleton, no skull, no clear image of what these people looked like. For years, the Denisovans became known as a ghost species. Most of what we know comes from genetics. DNA extracted from the finger bone revealed that Denisovans shared a common ancestor with Neanderthals. At some point, their evolutionary paths split. One branch moved west and became Neanderthals. The other spread across Asia and became Denisovans. As more discoveries emerged, scientists found additional clues. A few teeth, fragments of bone, genetic traces hidden inside modern populations. And those genetic traces revealed something extraordinary. Denisovans weren't isolated. They met other human species, including us. Modern humans and Denisovans interbred. Even today, millions of people carry Denisovan DNA inside their bodies, particularly populations in Melanesia, Papua New Guinea, and parts of Asia. In other words, the Denisovans may be gone, but part of them survives inside living humans. Then came one of the most astonishing discoveries in human evolution. Scientists analyzed another fragment of bone from Denisova Cave. The results seemed impossible. The individual was neither fully Denisovan nor fully Neanderthal. She was both. Her mother was a Neanderthal. Her father was a Denisovan. This wasn't a distant connection. This was a first-generation hybrid, a child born directly from parents belonging to two different human species. The discovery transformed our understanding of the ancient world. Instead of isolated species living separately, ancient humans interacted far more often than researchers once believed. The human family tree wasn't a neat collection of branches. It was a tangled web. Species met, migrated, mixed, and influenced one another. The more scientists learned, the messier the story became, and perhaps more fascinating. But the biggest question remains unanswered. If Denisovans once lived across huge regions of Asia, where are their fossils? Why have so few been found? Some researchers believe many Denisovan remains are sitting unnoticed in museum collections, misidentified, waiting to be tested. Others think Denisovans occupied environments where fossils rarely survived. And some scientists suspect an even more intriguing possibility. What if Denisovans weren't a single population? What if multiple Denisovan groups spread across vast territories, developing unique adaptations over thousands of years? If that's true, the Denisovans we know today may represent only a tiny piece of a much larger story, a story that remains buried beneath mountains, caves, and ancient landscapes, waiting to be discovered. For centuries, the Denisovans were completely unknown. They left no monuments, no written language, no surviving civilization, almost nothing. Yet a tiny finger bone changed everything. Today, we know they existed. We know they shared the world with Neanderthals and modern humans. We know their DNA still survives within millions of people. But beyond that, much of their story remains a mystery. We don't know exactly what they looked like. We don't know how many Denisovan populations existed. And we don't know precisely why they disappeared, somewhere beneath the soil of Asia. The answers may still be waiting, hidden inside forgotten caves, locked within ancient bones, or preserved in DNA yet to be discovered. And perhaps that's what makes the Denisovans so fascinating. Not what we've learned about them, but how much remains unknown, because sometimes the greatest mysteries in human history are the ones we haven't uncovered yet. What do you think happened to the Denisovans? Did they disappear? Or do traces of them still survive in ways we're only beginning to understand? Subscribe to Mindframe Theory for more stories about ancient humans, lost civilizations, and the mysteries of our past.